Hey, Old Testament. I want to start the day today with a little devotional thought for your weariness, if that's the place where you are, and if not, for your good times as well. It comes from a guy named John Newton. For those of you who have Old Testament and New Testament, I'm deeply sorry you're going to hear this twice. You can speed ahead a minute or two. John Newton is the author of the hymn Amazing Grace, if you're familiar with that. And in this little excerpt from one of the letters in a book of letters that's published in his name, he's talking about the idea of a completely God-centered, God-satisfied life. A person who is completely centered upon God, and more specifically, gets their deepest satisfaction and enjoyment in God, not in the circumstances of life, but in God Himself. Here's what he says: A delight in the Lord's all-sufficiency, to be satisfied in Him as our present and eternal portion. This, in the sense in which I understand it, is not the effect of a present warm frame. So it's not a mere sort of good feeling, but it's the effect of a deeply rooted and abiding principle. It's operative at the deepest parts of us, the habitual exercise of which is to be estimated by the comparative indifference with which other things are regarded. In other words, you can measure if this principle is something that you're exercising, this all sufficient in God principle, being all satisfied in God, rather. You can measure whether or not you're there by the comparative indifference which other things in your life are regarded. The soul thus principle, the soul thus working, is not at leisure to take or to seek satisfaction in anything except that which has a known connection to this leading estate, namely being satisfied in God. In other words, nothing else can really be enjoyed unless it really leads one to enjoying God, for this theoretical person in mind. He goes on: either the Lord is present, and then He is to be rejoiced in, or else He is absent, and then He is to be sought and waited for. They are to be pitied who, if they are at some times happy in the Lord, can at other times be happy without Him, and rejoice in broken cisterns when their spirits are at a distance from the fountain of living waters. I do not plead for an absolute indifference to temporal earthly blessings. God gives us all things richly to enjoy, and a capacity of relishing them, an ability to enjoy them, is His gift as well. But then the consideration of His love in giving them to us should exceedingly enhance their value, and a regard to His will should regulate their use. Nor can all those temporal blessings supply the want of that which we can only receive immediately from Himself. This principle likewise moderates that inordinate fear and sorrow to which we are liable upon the prospect or the occurrence of great trials. In other words, if this is the mode of operation of your heart, all satisfaction in God, then it's going to moderate your susceptibility to the ups and downs of life. Is your life like a massive roller coaster, high highs and low lows all the time? Newton is offering that locating your deepest happiness in God will allow you to go through life not without being happy and sad, but without being daunted, thrown off your rocker by difficulty. For the one whose deepest satisfaction is in the Lord, the difficulties of online school will be frustrating. They will be difficult, but they will not be life altering. They will not ruin your day. He says this here at the end. There is a sure support and resource provided in the all-sufficiency of infinite goodness and grace. What a privilege is this, to possess God in all things while we have them, and to possess all things in God when they are taken from us. I think that last line is so sweet in this time. At least to me it is. I hope it is, perhaps to you. All that being said, here's what I invite you into this week in Old Testament. I hope you enjoyed the slight change of pace from last week. Piper actually was, in his sermon, was speaking about a similar subject to Newton, so perhaps you can see the connection there. This week, I've actually decided, somewhat of an audible, that we are going to switch gears slightly. We're going to move out of the Psalms and into the Proverbs. We are going to stay in the genre of poetry, but we're going to do a little bit of a dive into the Proverbs to kind of switch things up a little bit. Hopefully that will be enjoyable for you. So you should continue watching this video. Leave me a comment. I'm going to take a grade for that this week. Suspicious that we're getting lazy with that. So make a comment and tell me one thing that you are thankful for in this season of your life right now. One thing that you are thankful for. And then I want you to find your way to the Bible Project video on the book of Proverbs. There's some videos in the Wisdom series that have to do with Proverbs, but for now I just want you to watch the general Bible Project video on Proverbs, the one with the boxes and the text that scrolls through and so on and so forth. Explain how the first major section of the book of Proverbs, which is chapters 1 through 9, relates to the second major section of Proverbs, chapters 10 through 29. So section 1, chapters 1 through 9, section 2, chapters 10 through 29. Explain how the first section relates to the second section. You should comment generally on the comment of both sections. You don't have to get super specific with the chapters, but you should at least offer an understanding of what the first section and the second section are about, and then how they relate to one another. Write one paragraph. Next, I want you to read Proverbs 1 through 9, so a little bit lengthier than usual, which is why I'm reducing your writing a little bit for this week. It's kind of its own section in Proverbs. Read it, Proverbs 1 through 9. You don't have to study it at great length, so I'm trying to save you a little bit of time there. But I do want you to read the whole thing, and if you're feeling bold, I would commend that you read it all in one sitting. Take 30 minutes or an hour and read through those chapters, hour and a half if it takes you that. It'll be neat, I think, for you to get the full sweep of those chapters if you are able to do that. You can read it. You need to read all of it, but you can read it briskly so you get the full breadth of it. Affirm that you read all of those chapters in your email, and then tell me in your own words, what did you learn from these chapters about wisdom? Just as you run through them, this is not a deep study of one verse. This is just a broad sweep. What did you learn about wisdom from Proverbs 1 through 9? And write one paragraph explaining that to me. So you're writing for this week, a Bible Project video response on the book of Proverbs, your Proverbs reading response, which I just explained. We're not doing a deep study of a chapter or a section this week. Affirm that you read Proverbs 1 through 9. Just tell me I read Proverbs 1 through 9. And that will do it for the week. Let me know if you need anything. Love you guys. Miss you guys. I'll see you next time.